On behalf of your host, Steve D, this is Bruce Buffer saying thank you for tuning in to Xtreme Lyfe. And now, this is the moment Xtreme Lyfe fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
How's it going?
It's going awesome, man. Awesome. You know, just trying to get through all this chaos going on in the world right now. Man.
I hear you, man. Same.
Awesome to have you on, man. Thank you for agreeing to come on. We're getting some feedback.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. Hang on. Let me just find out where that's coming from. Okay. I think it's gone. I don't know what it was, but something was causing some strange feedback for a second. I don't know where it was coming from, but so thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. I mean, it's definitely a great pleasure to have you on with me today. I mean, you're a pro MMA fighter. You've been fighting. I guess, your amateur career, as I understand it, started about 2017, and you went pro in 18. Right now you have a 3-1 record. You can correct me if I'm wrong anywhere along the line here. But you're currently on a 3-win streak. You've been kicking ass, and doing a great job. You got a fight coming up against Josh Jackson, at CFFC 88 on the 11th, or on the 18th. I'm sorry, on 11/18.
Yep.
And that's at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. And so in case anybody wants to go check this out, because I think they are selling tables, right? I think they're selling tables for the fight.
Yes. It's socially distant. I think it's 4 tickets a table. They sell tables, and the table fits 4 people. So I think they're doing that kind of format. I don't know what the limit for the tables are. I don't think they're sold out yet.
That's
if anybody,
cool.
If anybody wants to get any tables, they're still available.
That's awesome, man. So you're gonna have crowds back in the fight, which will be not huge crowds, but there'll at least be people there, which I think is awesome that they're starting to do that again. And I think the doors open at 6:30. The first bell goes off. I think the prelims are at 7 p.m. They start, and then the main card starts at 8. And then it goes on from there, and it should be a great night. I'm actually going to try to make it out there, so I think it'll be. I'm dying to get to a fight because I haven't been to one in like a year.
Yes, it's going to be fun. After all this time of no crowds. I haven't fought yet. I haven't fought since they shut the country down and started doing these no crowd shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm still fighting under a limited crowd, which is. It's still, it's still gonna give me a feel, especially I'm gonna have a good amount of people coming out, so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun regardless, crowd or no crowd. I'm itching to get back in there because this has been a crazy year, as you know.
Yeah.
So it's been a crazy year.
You got to be dying. Let me see here. I'm feeding back. I don't know where. All right, there.
By the way, my amateur career, my first amateur MMA fight was 2017, I believe, or 2016 or 2017.
Yeah.
However, I was competing in different disciplines from when I was a kid. So I've been competing since 6 and training since I was 4. I started in Russia.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've been training since 4. Competing since 6 years old. I would say semi-professional, where I was fighting with no gear and kickboxing and combat sambo and stuff. That came at about 15, 16 years old. At 16, I was already fighting in seniors for kickboxing, or 17. Yeah, I think it was 17. I was already fighting for seniors for kickboxing. And 24, I turned pro MMA.
Great. Now, you mentioned other disciplines. What is your main training in? I mean, you probably are trained in a bunch of different, at least a few things. But what would you say your main discipline is in martial arts?
Well, now I'm part of the Serra-Longo camp, so obviously it's just everything. It's the best training you can get in the MMA world, with the best guys too. I'm fortunate. I'm lucky. I put in a lot of work to get to the position to be able to train with these guys. So it's definitely huge, the fact that I'm able to train with guys that are, Aljo's fighting for the bantamweight world title December 12th. You have Merab, who's creeping up in the rankings. You have Al. I actually live with Al over in Long Island. When I'm doing my camps, when I'm doing my camps in Long Island, I stay with him. He has a house, and it's me, him, and Dennis. And I have all these guys surrounded. I'm surrounded by all these guys, and I have the best coaches, Serra, BJJ, Law MMA. So it's an honor. It's an honor.
Yeah, no, it's
my main discipline. I'm sorry to keep on wrong, but yeah. But the discipline that I started off with as a kid was karate, and then at 7, I went into combat sambo. It was hand-to-hand combat, but it's literally the same thing as combat sambo, just weapons added and stuff. But the tournament format is like amateur MMA rules. So I actually was competing in combat sambo tournaments from when I was a kid.
Okay, great, man. So you're absolutely no stranger to combat sports.
No, that's my thing. That's my thing, man.
And I'm going to tell you, man, you mentioned you're from Russia initially and started there pretty much as a kid, right? And, I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of guys come out of Russia, especially, all different provinces over there, and just crush. So, I mean, you're on a streak right now, killing it. It's definitely gonna, I think you're gonna do really well this week. I have a feeling about that. And you're coming out of a great camp.
Appreciate it, man.
That as well. You're coming out of a phenomenal camp. Ray Longo, legendary striking coach. I keep trying to get Ray on. Ray's, he'll come on. He's just a busy guy. Every time I see him or I bug him, I'll send him a text message. I'm like, Ray, you coming on yet?
This guy truly is busy. That's not an exaggeration. He's truly a busy guy.
Oh, I know. And I know he wants to. He's like, keep on me. So, I'm staying. Hey, believe me, he's probably getting a little annoyed with me by now because I'm staying true to my word and I'm bugging the heck out of him. But I'll get him on. But Matt Serra as well. You have a phenomenal and as you mentioned, Aljamain Sterling, who's fighting for the bantamweight title. Merab. I mean, you come out of a gym full of killers. I mean, there's just basically a ton of killers in there. What's that like training with all those super? I mean, you're high level too. You're super high level, but I'm of the belief where you always put yourself in positions if you want to get better with people who you feel are better. So what's training with all those guys like?
Well, I mean, it's hard to stand out when you're in a room full of killers because aside from the guys that are already established, aside from the guys that are already in the UFC or have had their runs or former champions like Chris Weidman, we have a whole generation, a whole room full of killers that are coming up. Some aren't even pro yet. Some are just turned pro, like Justin Montalvo, Dylan Mantello, who's coming off fresh off a knockout win, Charlie Campbell, who's coming off a Bellator win, Dennis, who just fought on Contender. So we have a room full of killers aside from the guys that are already in the UFC, the guys that are already established. We have some serious talent, and it's only a matter of time before they all their names are out there or they're in the UFC or somewhere in a high stage. So aside from the top level guys, it's also a mission on its own just to train with these other guys, sparring them and just training with them in general. There's just so much competition. And then you go over to Sarah's and you have so many black belts over there. We have a saying, and I'm sure that saying is valid in the jiu-jitsu world, not only amongst us, but there's black belts and there's Sarah black belts because the black belts are so high level. Our black belts submit other black belts of course not with ease. That'd be stupid to say, but they're successful in the jiu-jitsu world, the black belts, more than others.
Yeah, and there are levels to this thing, right? So it's like it's not just about the belt, right? Because I've seen, there's I'm going to tell you, I don't agree with this at all, but there are online jiu-jitsu classes that offer black belts in jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, how do you get there from there? I don't understand that. And there's some really serious high level people offering some of this stuff up. And I'm like, well, I just don't, to me, it seems like a money grab, but you know, in some way I'm like, you have to roll with people to get better. You have to do that. I mean, that's just part of what jiu-jitsu is. You can't just say, and you're right. You know, so one black belt comes out of one school, may come out of another school, and you know, they may be like a blue belt, you know, comparative, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know? But that's not flying by Matt. You know, Matt's not. There's none of that with Matt. You know.
Yeah.
His black belts are as legit as they come.
Oh yeah, no, I have no doubt about that. You know, I mean, I've actually seen, you know, some of the training down there, what you guys are, you know, at Law MMA, and I've actually been in that room when all the killers are there sometimes, and I'm like, wow, it's actually for me, like, you know, I mean, I'm pretty, I'm nowhere near the level of where a lot of you guys are at, but you know, it's like I just have to stand there and go, wow, I love watching the sparring and watching everything you guys are doing. You know,
it's like you're sparring with one guy, you look over, your next round is with another killer. Yeah. And after that, it's another killer and another killer and another killer. Yeah. So it's supposedly it's a small team, but it's like out of, let's say, 20 pros, it's like 18 are world class, you know? Yeah. Well, and everybody's going to say that about their team. But, you know, the numbers speak for themselves. We have like takedown machines like Marab, who holds records in takedowns in the bantamweight division. Then we have Aljo, who's the number one bantamweight in the world, who's about to fight for the title and become champion. We have Ali Quinta, who's already been in top 10 for 5 years. It's like I could keep repeating those names of the guys that are at the top already, and we look up to them. But it's like we have all these killers that are gonna just. So it's only a matter of time, and I think the wave is gonna come all at once, and it's gonna come hard. So within the next 2 years, I'm thinking you're going to hear a lot of these names.
Yeah, and I have no doubt. And, you know, one of the things, like I said, I think I said to Jenny Nadell the other day, I said, I think I'm kind of like your official interviewer for your gym because I'm interviewing everybody over there. I'm talking to everybody, which is great. I mean, I love the opportunity, dude. I love the opportunity to come in there and training over there. And you know, I'm doing a lot of striking with Jenny and different things like that. But, you know, I had Pumi Nakuda on. I had Justin Montalvo on just recently.
Pumi is another one. How could I forget Pumi? Pumi is the biggest superstar out of us all. How could I forget Pumi?
He's great, and he's got a huge personality too. So
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know, so he's and he had a great victory over oh God, I can't remember the name of who he beat, but
I watched that fight. Yeah, that was class. Class.
And that's a great.
And that's just one style that Pumi can approach a fight with. He has so many styles. Yeah, and he lives up to his nickname Turbo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely a great guy and a great going to be, you know, all these guys, including yourself, all have great futures.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, I was watching some of your reels before this interview, and you know, you got a lot of skill, man. I think you're gonna do a great job. I'm looking forward to seeing the fight coming up. You know, and what is it that you get? And because we talked about a lot of people, we talked about your gym. What about you? What is it you like most about MMA and fighting? Is it something that's just ingrained in you, or is it something that came up, or is there some, you know, what drives you?
Well, that question is like, it can be answered in two ways. What I mean by that is like, what drives me. What I like about it is everything, the feeling of training, grinding, you know, even the nerves. The nerves is just something that it brings the best out of you, you know, and the nerves, when they're done with, the feeling of victory is just that much more because of the nerves you had to go through, you know, leading up to a fight and the weight cut and, oh man, am I going to make weight? Am I going to miss weight? How's this fight going to go? Now, what drives me, it's many things, of course, like everybody else. It's the general things like family, you know, and just putting your city on the map. You know, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so like I have a lot of following here and putting them on the map. And of course, my people, my Azerbaijani people. Now, I was born in Russia. However, my ethnicity is Azerbaijani, and my parents are from this country of Azerbaijan. So especially at a time like this, I just have an extra motivation. You know, it's a motivation I didn't need because the job is always to come in there and win. The job is always to come in there and go to war and put on the best show possible. And just fight. Everybody always likes to divide this thing and say, oh, he's a wrestler, oh, he's a boxer. No, man, just fight. Just who wants it more, who's trained harder, who has a bigger heart, and that'll show on fight night. But yeah, man, I really want to make my people proud. I really want to make my Azerbaijanis all over the world proud. My name is buzzing a little bit now, and I'm sure it's going to grow. And I just want a wave of our fighters, because you have fighters from Georgia. They're coming up right now. They have a lot of guys in the UFC entering every other week. There's a new Georgian signed. You have the Gistanis, who have been around for a while now.
Yep.
And now I want that Azerbaijani wave to come. And from talking to some of the fighters overseas, the Azerbaijani fighters overseas, from a few of them, I'm being looked at as the guy, since I'm already over here in the States, because there's not a lot of Azeri fighters in the States. But they look at me as the guy that's going to really be that door, that's going to open that door for that wave to come through. And if I have that honor, then so be it. But that is my motivation regardless.
Yeah, and with anything, any kind of movement or any kind of flood of wave of things that happen, there's always the first one, right? There's always that forerunner that comes through and starts the whole thing, and I think, that's a great way of looking at it, and it's great that people from your area are looking at that as an opportunity for them. They're looking at you and saying, okay, he's creating the pathway. Let's get there. Let's see what we can do to get there. So, and you're right. I mean, I'll tell you what, MMA has become so big, and there's so many promotions out there right now that, people are coming from all over the world. I mean, everywhere. I mean, there's fighters coming in from everywhere, which is just phenomenal. Yes. It's great. It's great to see.
Did you notice how they usually every year, every 6 months, they focus on a region? Like you have this wave, like last year, I don't know if it was maybe last year or the year before, there was like a wave of Nigerians. You had Sodiq Yusuf, who fought in CFFC actually. You had Israel Adesanya jump in. You had Kamaru Usman, who was in the UFC before, but he really came onto the map with as part of that Nigerian crew. Then you had the Dagestanis a few years ago, and then you had the Brazilians, the Russians. So you have all these waves, and it's so fun to watch these waves come up. And these guys come out, they dominate, they do their work in their respective weight classes and stuff. So I definitely look forward for the wave of my people, of Azerbaijanis, to
absolutely.
Yeah. That's going to be fun, man.
It's going to happen. I think it's going to happen, man.
Listen, I 100% am confident that it's going to happen, but it's not even that I have to. I just want to remain humble and not just, I have a different approach to how I carry myself, how I speak. So I definitely know it's going to happen. I know I'm going to win this fight Wednesday. I know it's going to be fun to watch. But, of course, just keep it on the wraps, keep humble, and keep working hard.
Well, that's the one thing, after talking to and being somewhat involved in combat sports for a while and talking to a lot of fighters, one thing I, enjoy the most, I think, about talking to fighters and people in combat sports is that, there seems to be something that fighters know that other people don't, right? There seems to be something that you've proved or you've been humbled to a point. Everybody's got in the cage and gotten their ass kicked really good, right? Everybody's gotten, sparred with somebody and have gotten choked out or, whatever the case is. But there's always that, you've experienced things that other people probably haven't experienced, right? So there's that air of humility that a lot of fighters do have, I mean, there's a lot of fighters that like Colby Covington, who I think just I don't think he's that person in real life. I think more or less he puts on a show. But there's some fighters like that. But I think the majority of fighters that I've spoken to, my experience has been that there's some humility there. There's something like, okay, I know I could take care of myself. I can handle myself. I know what it's like to get pushed down, and I know what it's like to get back up. Right. Yeah,
I 100% agree with you. I think balance with anything, balance with anything. Like there's a balance of modesty and a balance of showmanship that you have to have. Of course, as time goes on, as I get more comfortable with this interview stuff and just with my career in general, I'm going to open up a little bit more, of course, just with my way of words and with my character. And I don't think I'm a dull person, generally speaking. I think people will enjoy, I hope people will enjoy who I am as a person. So with time, I'll be opening up, but I'll never want to be putting on an act, Everything I've done leading up until today has been genuine, and my love for the sport is genuine, and my love for my people and everything I do is genuine. So I want to keep it that way. And, if I have to intensify myself, or just intensify how much I get myself out there on the mic or in front of the cameras, I will. But I'll never want to be somebody I'm not. So there's a balance. And just like with anything, I think that's the most important thing when it comes to showmanship, balance.
Yeah, and it shows, man. I'm telling you, it shows. It reads really well. You come off really good.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, Steve.
I think you do a great job.
Thank you.
So keep it up. So you mentioned the weight cuts and stuff like that. There's got to be a lot of pressure in that, right? Because it's one thing I've talked to a lot of fighters. I don't think I've ever talked too much about the weight cut. What is that? What kind of pressure is behind that? What is that like for you when you have to cut? I mean, I know guys that have cut 16 pounds in a week to get to a weight, And,
yeah, man.
Yeah, matter of fact, James Gonzalez, who won the title on like 7 days notice or 6 days notice, cut like 16 pounds to get to that weight or something to that effect. Yeah. I don't remember the exact weight, but it was a phenomenal amount of weight in a short period of time, and had to be excruciatingly painful. So, what is that like?
The weight cuts, man. That's probably the worst part of the game. That's the part that us fighters probably look forward to the least. I mean, who wants to be sitting in a sauna suit, just shedding pounds just because the scale has to say a certain number, and then you're dehydrated and all this stuff. But at this point, I'm professional with it. I already know what I have to do when it comes to dieting and stuff. I cut a lot, but I wouldn't say I cut. I wouldn't say like I cut this like unproportional amount. Like I'm a huge lightweight or something. I think I'm a good sized lightweight, but I don't think I'm huge. I cut a good amount of weight, but everybody's body is different as well. For some people, the weight comes off easier. Some people, especially if you prep your body. I think diet. I think for me, different people do it differently. Some people only diet for like 2 weeks, and then they'll have a harder time in the sauna. Yeah. I rather cut less in the sauna. I rather not struggle so much in the final days. You're gonna struggle anyway in the final days. Yeah. But I'd rather let the diet do the justice for me, because when you prep your body, the more you prep your body for the weight cut, for the actual week of weight cut, the easier it's going to be. So I'm sitting at a good weight right now to get to 155, and I start my water loading tomorrow. And everybody knows when you start water loading, that weight starts coming off like magic. And then from there, whatever you have left to cut in the sauna or working out is what you have left to cut. But I've been very professional with my weight cuts in recent years, so every time it just gets easier and easier. I know I'm getting older, so I did hear.
That's what I was going to say. It might get a little harder as you get older.
Yeah, I hear that, but I think with so much science, and another person, by the way, Tony Ricci. Shout out to Tony Ricci.
Fight Shape Ricci. Just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, this is another guy that is world class. Worked with world class athletes, fighters, especially fighters in the UFC, and it's like this guy knows how to help us cut. He knows what to tell us to cut weight, how to do it, how to rehydrate, how to reload. And I don't know, I just, like I said, the more info you have on cutting weight, the better it is for you, the better off you are. Doing it the old school way, where you just put on a bunch of layers and just start trying to cut 30 pounds of water or something like that, just doesn't work anymore. There's so much science in MMA. Yeah, there's so much science in MMA, so much information available. People should take advantage of it if they aren't.
Well, Tony, I've had him on, and I've talked to Tony, even off camera, and in a lot of, in a couple different situations at the gym itself. And the guy's a wizard when it comes to this stuff. I mean, when it comes to how to prep for a fight and strength and conditioning training and the psychology around it, and all the things you have to do and the techniques. If anybody knows him, it's him.
Yeah. He's a genius, man.
The wizard.
I love working with him.
Yeah, so another great guy, and so maybe can you just, for people who don't know, because you mentioned water loading, what does that mean? In case.
So everybody, there's different water loading programs. There's like some people do like 3 days out, they'll load 3 gallons, and then 2 gallons the next day, and then like 1 gallon the next day. But basically, you need to kind of overload your body with water to the point where you start urinating more than the water that you put in. So your I forgot the name for it. There's a scientific term for it.
Okay.
But basically, your body goes into flush mode.
Okay.
So anything that you sweat out, you're pretty much sweating double.
Yeah.
And you taper down as the days go on. You start, let's say, 5 days out. I like to start 5 days out. You start 5 days out, and every day you taper down on the water. The next day it'll be a gallon. Next day a gallon. The day after that it's half a gallon. The day after that it's a quarter gallon. And then the day of the winds, you don't drink anything at all. So basically, you put so much water in your body that the final days when you're losing that weight, your body is not as dehydrated. So that's pretty much as straightforward as I can explain it.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Because basically what you do is you cause your body, as you said, to go into a flush mode. So it starts flushing. It thinks that, wait, I got too much. So your body goes into kind of like that, almost like panic mode to get rid of it. It sheds it, right?
Yes.
So then when you get down to those final days, obviously you're right. I think you're right on with keeping yourself prepped. I mean, probably all year round, right? Your diet is a specific thing. You can go off here and there, but I think a lot of people keep pretty close. At least the ones who are the best at cutting weight probably keep a pretty good diet going throughout the year and stay within, a certain range of their cut weight that they need to get to. Because, you don't want to be cutting 30 pounds, right? You don't want to be doing that right before a fight. But yeah, I mean, that's I think you said it perfect. I think it was great. And I think your methodology is good too. It sounds and working with Tony, like I said, you can't do much better than that. And phenomenal striking coach Ray Longo and Matt Serra. I mean, you got a team in
Eric Heyer as well. Eric Heyer is another striking coach that comes around and works with us. Listen, the team is just like I still to this day. I joined 2019. What was it? End of March.
Yeah.
I joined, and I knew joining I was going to make a commitment because I knew that the camp that I was going to join, it was going to be for a long time, if not forever. You know what I mean? I don't see a reason to have to go anywhere. I don't have to. I literally don't feel like I'm missing out on any resources. So I still feel like it's all a dream. Like just working with these guys and stuff. And it's like one day you see Ray tell who was it, Chris or Al to punch a hole in I think it was Machida's chest, and then the next day you're working with him. You know what I mean? It's an honor.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when I'm there sometimes and I'm working, like especially like a few weeks ago when like everybody was there kind of sparring and stuff, it was like, sometimes I have to pinch myself and say, hey, am I really hanging out here and doing this? Am I really, am I really, because I'm hitting pads with Jenny and I'm like, and Matt Serra comes walking in. I'm like, hey, look at this, right? And, I think one of the coolest moments I've had is when I was doing some striking work with Jenny, and Ray Longo was kind of sitting on the bench watching, and as I walked over, he gave me a nod, said, look good. I was like, wow, okay, cool. Coming from Ray Longo, that's pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, man. And maybe, you know what?
Maybe he was just being nice. I don't know, but...
Ray, I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Ray doesn't really throw compliments out there just into thin air just to say it. He when he says something, he probably 99% of the time means it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like I said, that was one of my moments, I think, in that gym. Like, wow, that was pretty cool. Ray Longo just said I look good hitting pads. So, but hey, man, I'm gonna try like hell to get to that fight. Because I mean, if not, I will definitely be watching it on UFC Fight Pass. I just want to make sure people know this is this Thursday night coming up.
Wednesday.
Is it Wednesday? Wednesday. Okay.
Yes, because there's a Thursday card also. That's CFFC 89. They're doing They're doing two cards back to back.
Yeah,
I'm fighting on the Wednesday.
Yeah, they've been doing doubles, right? Yeah, so I saw that. And I think it's the coolest thing to have a crowd back in there. I can't even imagine what it's like to, it's even strange watching fights without the crowds there. It's really kind of strange without any noise. You hear the corners, you hear people, like you hear a punch, like, wow, man, that sounded like it hurt.
The Contender Series in particular, like watching Dennis's fight, it was literally nothing. And Dennis was explaining to me how he heard the cameras clicking when he was walking out. It was weird. Yeah. It's even less noise than sparring, because the way our sparrings get at law, it's like an actual fight, Yeah. But it's weird. I wanted to fight over quarantine or during COVID, but thinking about that, I'm kind of glad I didn't. Now we have a little bit of a crowd.
Yeah, no,
So,
I think you draw energy from a crowd, right? So when especially like if things aren't, I've seen people, it looks like, because I've seen a lot of fights, and I'm going to tell you, I've seen people who seem to draw energy, even when they're down a little bit, they draw energy from that crowd and then come back and win.
Yeah,
It's almost like, it's a really weird effect that happens. Like you get that adrenaline burst from the crowd, and it just kind of takes you through and what you need to do, and you get out there and you finish the fight. But it's going to be awesome. All right, so it's actually next Wednesday, the 18th. You'll be fighting. It's CFFC 88, I believe. And,
yes.
As I said earlier, doors open at 6:30. Fights start at 7. Main card starts at 8. It is available on Fight Pass for anybody who can't make it out there, and it's gonna be, a great show. I think it's gonna be phenomenal. I've been watching all of them, and I'm actually gonna try to get out to this one because I think, I just need to get out. As you need to fight, I need to get out. Get out of that.
Yeah, man, enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
It will be awesome, man. I look forward to seeing you win. Thank
you, brother.
You could be humble all you want, but I'm not going to be. I'm going to tell you, you're going to kick ass and take names. Go out there, crush it.
Thank you, brother.
And I will see you. Hopefully, I'll see you at Law MMA in the near future.
Yes, sir.
After you win, and thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
No worries.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to put out there? A website? Anything? A Facebook page? A Instagram? Anything?
No, I'm not gonna plug anything at the moment. I'll probably do that after the fight. But I just want to say to everybody watching, to all my supporters, friends, fans, everybody that is wishing me well, praying for me, I'm truly grateful. Nothing goes unnoticed, and I'm not always out there to communicate with everybody, but just want everybody to know that I'm grateful for everybody's support.
That's awesome, man. That's an awesome message. I appreciate that, and I know all your supporters will as well. So, hey, listen, man, be good, kick ass. We'll see you next time on the Xtreme Lyfe podcast, man. Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Be good, man.
Thank you.